4, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Fearlessness isn't a single action, but it's a lifestyle. So let's freaking go.
Being a man matters. Having a society of strong men matters a lot. And you notice I said strong men because for as long as I've been alive, America has been angling itself towards telling men that they're weak, they're stupid, they're not that important. The almighty woman is all that matters. What will we do without the saintly women telling us how to put on our shoes? But I've got news for you. Society doesn't need that. And women don't need or want that either. We have become a society of pathetic men. And now it's gotten all the way up to the President of the United States of America doing this, oh, I'm just a stupid old guy routine. Where's my wife telling me where to go?
We'll go down on this. We'll go down here on this. Wait. Come on up, Joe. No, you're not going to dance, believe me. We don't want to ruin the evening. Joe, pay attention.
Haha, it's so cute and funny. Haha, look how stupid the man is. I don't find it to be cute and funny. I find it to be repulsive. And I find it to be a big reason why this nation is going downhill. Because men have given up their manhood. They've given it over to women who are now forced to carry the burden, which they're not supposed to carry anyway, because men don't want to be strong. They don't want to be leaders. In fact, they brag, they laugh about how weak and stupid they are. And it is a crisis in this society. What do you think, by the way, what do you think all this tranny nonsense has come into? I hear people lament many parts of what's happened to America, but they miss oftentimes one of the most basic, important parts. If you could have your perfect government, the perfect politician as your congressman and senator and president and state rep, and you could just design the perfect government just the way you wanted it, yet we didn't change what has happened to men in this country, you would have saved nothing whatsoever. Until men return to being men, we will be a lost country. Because men are a critical building block to society. Men have a role. Men have roles as leaders, as protectors. Women have roles as nurturers, as mothers, as wives. We have specific roles we were created for. And as long as we deny those roles, as long as we act like those roles don't matter, or they're not important at all, we are going to continue to spiral downhill as a nation. Testosterone is not a small thing, it's everything. Fatherhood is not a small thing, it's everything. Being a strong man is not a small thing, it's in everything. I'm not telling you have to be a Greek god. I'm certainly not. But this is something else we've gone away from as men. You know, as a man, you're supposed to work yourself out physically. You're supposed to, or do physical labor. You're supposed to be a physical person. That's part of the reason you're built that way. That's why you're here. And we ignore that too. Or we talk down about it. Oh, look at this meathead there. No, these are things that matter to us. They're what can save this country. So we have to discuss being a man more, what it means, how we accomplish it at all, because that's another thing that really breaks my heart today. You see so many men in this society longing for something. And when you dig into it, you can tell they're longing to be more of a man, and they're longing to be guided on how to do that. So you'll see men do things like throw themselves into some civilian type boot camp, right? And you get people pointing and laughing at them. Oh my gosh, why would you do that? Why would you put yourself through that? Men do these things trying for something they've been denied. Men know deep down inside they're supposed to be strong. They're supposed to be tough. They're supposed to do all these things. They just don't know where to get it, and it saddens me. So unless we start talking about it, unless we start figuring out how to turn this around and change things, we can't save the country. Until we save ourselves, until we save men, until men become men again, we cannot save the country. All right? Now, I just mentioned fatherhood, because that's a place it has to start. You have to be a dad to your sons and daughters. That's part of being a man. And we're going to discuss the importance of that. Fatherhood. It matters a lot. I know we're supposed to be in this day and age where the almighty woman does it all, and the poor, stupid oaf of a man can barely tie his shoes without Saint Woman helping him. But no, men matter. Fatherhood is really, really, really important. And Alec Lace is an author called First Class Fatherhood, but he also has a podcast, which I've been on, and it's outstanding, called First Class Fatherhood. Alec, merge these two worlds for me, because I struggle with this. I'm a dad. You and I have talked about this on your show before. I love being a dad. You love being a dad. It's like my favorite thing in the world. It's the best. And yet, as you just mentioned, so much of society is scared of it, or they act like it's some kind of burden, or man, it sucks, when it's the best thing ever. How's that possible? How could the best thing ever be looked down upon by so much of our society?
Yeah, it's almost like fatherhood's become the best kept secret because our society has destroyed manhood. It's destroyed men. There's an attack on men. There's an attack on masculinity, and it's been coming for a long time now. So when men don't value themselves, don't see their value, they don't look for things like this. And becoming a father is really when your life actually begins. It's the greatest sense of maturity you're going to get. It gives a drive in you. You know, people are afraid of, kids cost too much money. But kids become like this driving force in you to start creating more money, creating more wealth, creating more opportunity like nothing else does on this planet. But our society and our culture has been just trying to diminish men and emasculate them into thinking that they're worthless and they bring no value to society. And that mindset's got to shift. And that's why when I bring these guys on, influencers are all over the internet. Social media is a powerful tool. We need these guys that are known for all these other things, like I bring on the show, Super Bowl MVPs, Navy SEALs, Academy Award winners. They're known for all these things, and they have influence so much over the young minds of America. We need them to be a voice for fatherhood. We need them to be ambassadors for fatherhood and encourage these young men that this is going to be the thing that brings you to fulfillment, not this material stuff that the world is trying to tell you to go after. That's not where the true happiness lies.
Alec, I have no doubt there are a bunch of new fathers or soon-to-be fathers out there, and they get nervous. Lots of men do. They don't have an instruction manual in front of them. Give us some wisdom. What's some advice for these guys?
Well, I would just say like ABCs is for me. I would say, adapt. You got to be willing to adapt. A lot of dads want their kids to do the same things that they did. And a lot of times it doesn't work out that way. So you have to be willing to adapt and get into the things that your kids are interested in. So, for instance, my oldest son became interested in chess at a young age. I never played the game before in my life. I learned how to play it so I could play with him. Now the whole family plays it. We love it. So you have to be willing to adapt to the movies they like and show interest in what they're interested in. I would say B, bend, don't break. Be willing to bend the rules if your kids are going to give you a decent argument. Allow them a chance to explain their point of view. So if they want to do something that you were first against, bend, but don't break your morals. Don't break your values in doing so. So allow them to have a chance to change the rules once in a while. And then C, calm is contagious. And this comes from a lot of the, military guys like yourself, guys that will say, things are going to go wrong, especially when you're a new dad. You're ready to leave the house. The kids are all dressed, and then he craps his pants. And then, he knocks the food bowl over at the dinner table. Things are going to happen that are going to make you want to just start to lose your stuff. But you got to try to remain calm, and then your wife will remain calm, and the kid will remain calm, and the kids will kind of follow that pattern. So try to stay calm, even though things start to get a little chaotic, especially in them early days.
Education. Your book talks about this. Education. This is something dads usually wash their hands of, right? Mom takes care of the homework with the kids. Talk to us about kids and education.
scary time right now. My oldest is a senior in high school, so we're starting to look at this college world, and we're seeing 43 million Americans begging to have their college tuition paid off. So we're thinking, wait a minute, 43 million Americans paid for college and don't have a degree worth any money to pay back these loans. Why are we going to send our kid down the same path? Education is very bad in this country right now, particularly the public school. We got our kids in the Catholic school system. A lot of parents around the country are homeschooling now more than ever before because of the corrupt indoctrination that's come through the pipeline of the school system. But education, what the kids don't get there is any kind of financial education. We're not teaching these kids what to do with a dollar, how to invest. So you got to help your kids get the right books to read, find the right people on social media to follow, to educate themselves into financial literacy. And that's something that's always missed. It's never taught, but it's something that we all are going to need. We're all going to know how to pay bills. We're all going to need to do things like that. So you have to get your kids some type of financial sense early on. Also, trade skills. Like I said, I've been a mechanic for my whole life, a railroad mechanic for 23 years. I teach my kids how to change flat tires, how to change and check their oil. These are basic necessity skills that fathers need to teach their sons and their daughters. I think it's vitally important. Some of this ABC stuff in school has gotten so warped, but giving them the basics that they're going to need for survival in life is far more important.
Alec, talk about phones. My sons have phones. We did not give them phones or smartphones early on. Eventually, we kind of gave in and gave them some phones just so they could stay in contact with us, but we tightly control those things because I understand how damaging it can be. How do you handle the phone situation in your house?
Very difficult, Jesse, and I know parents are struggling with this big time. My older guys, my 17 and 16-year-old, when I struggle with something in technology, I call on them. Hey, how do I beam this to the TV? I used to be the guy in the house that set up the VCRs. You know, my old man would call me and say, hey, you know, how do you set this thing up? You know, and I used to be the guy that did that. Now I feel like a dummy because I'm like, hey, I don't know how this thing works. What is this? So they know far more about the technology than we do. And if anybody has seen Sound of Freedom out there, the movie that beat Indiana Jones and Dial 1 for wokeness, you talk to these guys that are dealing with sex traffickers. I had the guy recently on the show from Operation Underground Railroad. They're using the technology to get through these kids. That's their window into your kids' world. So if you're not monitoring who they're talking to, or at least asking them questions, there's no way to stop it. Because even if you don't give your kids a phone, if you don't give them access to the internet, their friends are going to have it. They're going to find somebody in a schoolyard who does. So they're forcing parents to have these kind of conversations earlier than you would like to with your kids. But social media is one thing that my kids, as far as I know, they don't have any social media accounts. I never had one until I started the podcast. I think social media is great for building businesses and making connections. I think it's horrible for what it's done to our culture, but you got to try to have these conversations and say, hey, you know, this is what you're going to see, and start talking to them about it. But you got to watch who they're communicating with, because they think they're talking to somebody that's their age, or some girl that's sending them pictures and they're like, oh, wow, this girl likes me. But really, it's some 62-year-old dude in his house that's communicating with your kid. They do it through the Xbox system. They do it through PlayStation. They do it through these live chat rooms. And that's their window into these kids' world. So you got to try to educate yourself on the technology as best as you can to try to stay ahead of it. And it is not easy. It's much easier said than done. We got to really rally around our young men in this country and encourage them to stay with it. The divorce race is true to ceiling in this country. The fatherless crisis is an epidemic. Too many fathers walking away from their kids' lives. Too many guys giving up on their marriages at the first sign of any kind of trouble. So these are the things that we need the veteran dads, the veteran husbands to step up and help to mentor these young guys that are coming up now, because we need our families in this country, Jesse. That's the key to all of this stuff. The direction the country is going in is directly related to the fact that our nuclear families have been destroyed in this country. And until we get that problem solved, nothing else that we're trying to fix, homelessness, crime, suicide, teenage pregnancy, none of it is going to change unless we can strengthen our family units. So we need these guys that have had success in marriage, have had success raising their kids, to give that back. Reach back and pull up the guy behind you, and let's strengthen these family units in the country, man.
Yeah, amen. Alec, I appreciate you, brother.